2 minutes. I told you, Josh, doesn't work. Look, you switch it on here. So we start in 1 minute. As soon as Jean-Jo is sitting down, we can start. So, a very, very warm welcome to all of you. We are here at Digitizer. For whom is it this first time here in this building? A lot of people. So, just a quick word. This is the home of the tech communities in Brussels. And it's also the home of the data science community of Belgium. We decided to come here mainly because it's a place full of people who are working with digital things. It's a place full of people who are thinking of creating their own solutions, and it's a place where everything has been set up so that you find each other and you can start working on that solution. A perfect example of what's happening here at Digitizer is what will happen in the coming 30 hours here during the hackathon. You will think about a solution, you will find people, you will challenge each other, and suddenly you will say, okay, now it's time to work, and we will start working. We have defined for the moment 15 different areas where you'll be able to group or regroup. The areas are numbered from 1 to 15. Try to keep it logical. If there are more teams, there is enough room at Digitizer. So if there are 20 teams, we'll be even happier. And then we'll add some numbers on the over there. So you see there behind you, you see the numbers. The idea is that as soon as we identify one team with an idea, we say, okay, I'm team number 1, and then I'm going to write down the title of my team. And I will write down the members of the team that are inside the team. And also on that paper, you will write down on a post-it who you are missing. If you are missing an expert in algorithms, then you can say, I'm looking for a data scientist good in algorithms. If you are missing somebody who is good in creating an architecture to take on the data easily, then you just note it down. People will walk around and say, oh yeah, I'm that expert, or I'm a good storyteller, I'll join that team. Yeah? So that's the whole idea. We have Evan here. Evan, can you just... Evan will coordinate the team creation. So he has a file, and he will write down the name of the team and who are already in that team. Yeah? So there's one thing you have to remember. For every question that you have during the coming 30 hours, there will be people sitting behind the reception at that round table, and those are the people who will answer your questions. Yeah. So all the coaches will be sitting there. As soon as there is one request, he will leave and work on your request, and then go back to that place. So that's your dropping point. That's your source of all information. That's also the source of the data you'll be working on. For the data, and Annelies will explain, but the data is on a big hard drive, but we also have prepared some USB sticks with all the data on it, so you can go to the reception, take your USB stick, and go back. Yeah. Before you go to the reception to take your USB stick, already try to remember what team you will be working on, because we only have created 15 USB sticks. Basically, we've created 19, but if you already have your idea and your team in place, then you go and get your data. Yeah, there's no point of having 100 people, because you'll be 107 people here today. 100 people going after 100 USB sticks. No, we want 15 teams to go each after one USB stick. So that's basically what is happening. One thing to remember is whenever you want to communicate, and we do want you to communicate about this event, it's important, use hashtag HIVhack. That's your hashtag. If you take a picture, hashtag it with HIVhack, so that we then, by the end of today, we can then group all the pictures that have been taken and show them on another screen, project them on another screen, and it will be fun. Yeah? So, what is important here? Mainly, everything that you are looking for should be on our website, which is hivhack.org. Yeah? If you want to connect to the Wi-Fi, you have to search for Wi-Fi digitizer and enter the password, easy to forget. Yeah? If you leave the building, and of course you are allowed to leave the building, yeah, there is no badge, but there is a code at the door. So if you remember your code, which is 1818, you will be granted access so that you don't have to carry a badge around. Yeah, so remember 1818 whenever you leave the building. There is a Facebook page if you want to comment. There is a Twitter Twitter account, of course, and there's also an Instagram account. Important for us, important for everybody who participates to this exercise, is the communication around it. The more noise we make about what we are doing, the more chances we'll have that there will be a second hackathon around the same topic. Yeah, so we don't want to work in closed doors, but we want to work in an open environment. That means that we need to communicate about it. We've had some comments. Tanzanian has issued a warning on using statistical data. We've researched it, and we can tell you that you shouldn't worry about it. The idea is that you're not allowed to reproduce a new type of statistics in Tanzania that would contradict the existing statistics of Tanzania. Yeah? And as we haven't found HIV drug resistance statistics in Tanzania, you shouldn't worry. So that was one point that we needed to clarify. On the agenda of the day, fully packed. You are allowed to walk around the building. Yeah. Mainly we have reserved for this hackathon the ground floor and the first floor. We will be on the ground floor and the first floor during the whole day today. And tonight we have also reserved a quiet where you can rest if you need it at the top floor. The top floor is where you have the rooftop terrace. You have access to that rooftop terrace whenever you feel you need some fresh air. It's your terrace. You can go there. There's no restriction. If you have terrace on one side, and you have the quiet room on the other side. It's also in the quiet room. No, it's in between the quiet room and the terrace that you will have breakfast tomorrow morning. Yeah, the breakfast tomorrow morning, but we'll start at 8. But let's come back to what's happening today. We decided to start at 1:30. My slide is not automatically updated, but on the website you can always find the correct agenda. You see so if you go to hivhack.org/agenda, you will find always exactly what is happening, and that's real time. What you need to remember is that we'll have a coffee break at 4, and then we'll have the evening dinner at 7:30. There are moments for you to pitch. The first pitch is at 2. That's in about 3/4 of an hour from now. The idea is that if you already have an idea, if you already worked on it, and you need some more people, that's the moment to come on stage, use this stage to say, my idea is about data visualization based on the data set of Tanzania. and I need somebody who can crunch, who can read PDF files, and extract some more data. That kind of, then people will remember your face. You will say, no, and this is my idea. This is team number one. I'm team number one, and then people will start to connect, and that's how you start building. There are about 7 or 8 initial ideas that have already been worked on. It's just to allow you to think about the different ways and the different solutions that are possible to work on this during this hackathon. So that's at 2. Then we will have, and Annelies will explain in a minute, a more detailed presentation on the data sets that are at hand. These are optional presentation. If you already have an idea, if you have already your data set, if you already are satisfied with that, you don't have to attend presentation on another database. It wouldn't make no sense. So these are optional presentation. All the presentations are taking place here. Interesting here as well is that we will have like a fresh flow of people coming in as of 5:30. These are the people that had to work this afternoon, couldn't free up themselves. So we are going to do to repeat some presentations after 5:30. Know that these presentations are repeats, so that you don't have to. It's also optional. You don't have to be there. There are a few presentations that are important. And one presentation that I would strongly recommend is the presentation from Marie-Pierre de Béthune, who will give us some, towards the end of the day, who will talk about HIVhack. No, who will talk about HIV in general, give us what is HIV, why is HIV drug resistance an important problem today, and why should we do something about it? Yeah, she's also the expert on the topic. So if you have questions on the on the HIV topic, you can go at reception, and they will point you out to one of our friends, probably Marie-Pierre or anybody else who is also who knows about it. So for people who want to work all through the night, it is possible. The building stays open, so you can continue working. If you feel a weakness and you want to have a 1-hour sleep or 2-hour nap, you have the quiet room upstairs. Yeah. Tomorrow morning, 8 o'clock breakfast, and at 9 o'clock tomorrow morning, we are going to go a bit more into details, and we are going to start with the pitches of the team. So basically what I'm expecting tomorrow morning is about 15 different pitches of 2 minutes of what the people are working on and what is still needed to finalize the project in the next 8 hours. Yeah. Tomorrow lunchtime, we decided to take you out of the building to get more fresh air. We'll go to a pizzeria, we'll eat some pizza there, and then we'll be back so that you can continue to work. And at 7:30 tomorrow night, you will have had the chance to deliver your PowerPoint, to deliver a blog post, yeah, about your solution. So we expect 2 things. We expect a PowerPoint that you will be presenting half an hour later, and we expect a blog post, like a written 2-3 paragraph document about your solution, what you're doing, why you are doing it, and so on. Once these presentations are finished, lunch will come in, dinner will come in, evening dinner, and while you are eating and drinking, feeling relaxed because you delivered your solution, the judges will start to work, and they will rate and decide who are the best solutions. Serge will talk about the decision criteria that we will be using in a minute. Remember that what we want to do here is to prepare a solution that can be sent to one of the countries in Africa, where we will help the people in Africa, or at least the data experts over there, to use that solution so that they can have some visualization of their own data. Basically, we are teaching them how to fish, and we're not sending them fishes. Yeah? So that's what you have to keep in mind. We are, it's our hope. We hope that we'll be able to send people to do some local help for the different countries over there. So that was me. We are now going to move on to the next presentation, unless there is something else I wanted to say. No. Yeah, there is, for your presentation, we have prepared a template. Yeah, and in that template, we have prepared a lot of different images that you can use, but try to use the template in your presentation. Also, what's also important, try to communicate about your solution as soon as possible. We will try to track using hashtag HIVhack, team 1, that solution, and we will track you all through the coming 30 hours to see how much you have been communicating about it. Yeah. So, ladies and gentlemen, let me now introduce you to the driver, to the person that came up with this idea, and that kept us busy for the past 9 months. Together with Serge, we have already done a hackathon on the dengue issue. On the dengue issue, the whole project stopped at the hackathon,
just in the back,
where we had 10 different solutions that were presented. Here we are going one phase further. So now the solution after the hackathon will be used locally. So Serge, I'm not passing you the mic because you already have one.
Apparently,
here is Serge Mazin from Janssen.
all wired up. Thank you. Thank you, Philippe. Do I need to click somewhere for the presentation, or it's going to happen just automatically? Okay. So you probably, there's a lot of new faces in the room. As Philippe pointed out, we have already been working for quite a bit and preparing for today, the next 36 hours. During the preparation, we've seen some faces, but there's also a few new faces. Oh, I have to stay behind the counter where the beer is. What did I want to say now? For the new people in the room, I'm going to just shed a little bit of light on why we are doing this. As you heard by Philippe later on, we will have Marie-Pierre, who's going to talk more in depth about HIV resistance. I'm going to just shed a light. Let me see if I can do this. There's about 37 million people in the world who are HIV infected, and roughly about 26 million people of those 37 million, are living in Africa, sub-Saharan Africa. Out of them, 17 million are diagnosed, and out of those, 13 million actually receive medication. Throughout the years, more and more people are receiving medication, which is quite a good thing. As you can see, the more green people here on the slide, that means the more people are receiving medication, and that is a good thing. However, it does come with an issue, and that is HIV resistance. So you, throughout your medication, becoming resistant to the medication that you are taking. How can that happen? Well, when you're infected and when the infection really gets a go, then you have a high viral load in your body. So that means that there's quite an amount of virus in your body. You start your medication and you take it as prescribed, and the medications that are brought on the market, they do their work. So eventually, or when the medication does its work, you're being suppressed, meaning that less and less virus stays is in your body. Now, one problem is that if you do not take your medication every day as is prescribed, you risk of having replications of the virus that do not. You risk having replications of the virus that are resistant to the medication that you are taking. So the more people that are taking medication, the more the risk there is that people are not adherent to their therapy, they skip a day or they skip a weekend, and thus the higher the risk that the replication of the virus generates mutations, replications that are becoming resistant to your medication. And then you get that the lighter blue, for example, that they proliferate again, and so you need to switch your therapy from one particular medication to a next type of medication, which we typically call a second line therapy or a third line therapy. Now, what is the issue with that? That is that additional testing for your viral load, the amount of virus in your body, additional testing for resistance comes at a very high cost. And also this second line therapy and third line therapy comes at a higher cost. These medications cost more. Now the combination of this additional cost together with the fact that countries where the need is highest are the poorest countries on the planet, that is of course a very risky combination, because these countries cannot afford doing many viral load testings, cannot afford doing costly resistance testing, and have difficulty prescribing the second line and third line medication to their patients, to the inhabitants of their country that are infected. So that is why basically we do want to understand where are the hotspots of resistance, where are those geographical locations, where are the zones in a country where the risks are higher. And in doing so we want to understand what kind of factors are driving this. I just mentioned the fact that people do not take their medication is one factor, but that can be because, say, there's a high unemployment in the region, or there's a high alcohol abuse, or stock outages, as a matter of fact, is a known driver. You can have your medication at home, but don't take it yourself. But if it's not available in the pharmacy, you become involuntarily inadherent to your therapy. So drug stock outages in the pharmacies is an issue with respect to HIV resistance. Now, in identifying where these zones are, we've done some exploratory work on what particular elements could be driving the risk of resistance, and we want to combine both epidemiological factors related to this disease, with non-epidemiological factors. One step further with stock outage, which is clearly a non-epidemiological factor. Political unrest can cause strikes, can cause medication not to end up in the pharmacy, can increase the risk of resistance. That's an example of a non-epidemiological factor that could contribute to the problem. Why do we want to do that? Well, we want to inform the countries on the level of and the risk and the patterns and the trends on HIV resistance, because it is a looming problem around the corner, and we want to create awareness. We want to show them what is driving, where is it happening in their countries, so that they can act upon it. That hopefully one of these factors that are being identified, that we can transform that into actionable items. Awareness raising, education of their healthcare workers on how to deal with the issue. We want to also use that information to inform stakeholders like the funders in the world who fund the medication, so that they know better and understand better where the needs are. Of course, if you look at the problem within a country, you might be able to say, at the end of the day, with an ideal solution, you might be able to say to a government, you have to spend more money here versus there. You have to do this here versus there. Your southeast is more at risk for resistance than your southwest, as an example. And last but not least, we want to also inform the suppliers on the need for second line and third line medication. That is basically the reason why we apply on your collective wisdom, on your talent, on the many hours of effort that you may already have been putting into it, and especially on the next 36 hours that you're willing to spend your time on this issue. It is a data for good initiative, so which means that you are contributing to the problem and that you can also use the information and the ideas that come out of this. We've had quite some challenges along the way to get to today, one of which was finding a good data set, and we're really happy to announce, and Annelies and others are going to present more on the data sets. We're really, really happy that we have come to the point where we feel we have some good data sets that you can unleash your talents to this afternoon and tomorrow and tonight. Given the fact that we did have that challenge on the data, we have established 4 categories. Of course, the ultimate outcome, as in the previous slides, is that hotspot map, is that predictability of where things are going to happen and what factors are driving it. But we do realize that that is quite a daunting task, especially to get it solved within 36 hours. That said, we do have a category for the prediction model. That said, we also have a category where a descriptive model, where you can put things together on a map, show things together. Sometimes the best prediction is like in visualizing things and have a look at what's at the data and then distill information from the visualization. So that said, there is a category for to work on how to describe the data, how to bring the data together, how to visualize the data. We also realize that data and data alone is not going to help us to its fullest extent, and we want to be very, very open for this hackathon. And therefore we have the next 2 categories invented, which is basically the intervention. If today, tomorrow, or in the past, and you continue to work on the next couple of hours on it, you have come up with an idea which really is like an intervention that can help solve or mitigate or reduce the risk of resistance. We are also very, very welcome to those ideas. It should not be data science alone, although point well taken that the digitizer and the data innovation hub is geared towards data science. Today we are also very open on other ideas that can help address the problem. And that's why these the category intervention is there. And then last but not least, we have a wildcard category, which is anything that you come up with that we haven't been able to think about or think of. And that's of course what we hope, that your collective wisdom is far bigger and larger than ours. At the end, according to the agenda, somewhere around 7:30 tomorrow, we will have the team pitches, and there's going to be a jury present of experts in the field of resistance, experts in the field of data science, visualization, the more technical experts, so to speak, the data coaches. So we will have a broad panel of jury members that are carefully going to look into your proposals. That said, today we also already want to give you some judging guidelines. We clearly, with the issue and the problem that we are tackling, we are addressing a medical gap or a medical need. To which extent is your proposal having impact on people's lives? Is there an opportunity to leverage the existing content or technology? Is there a potential to work with local partnerships? I work at Johnson & Johnson Global Public Health, and it's really in our mission to strive for local partnerships and sustainability, which means that whatever we do within global public health is not we give a box of pills or 1 million pills or blankets or whatever, and then we pull back and we have done our work. No, we want to set up local partnerships. We want to make sure that whatever solution we propose is continuing as we move on to the next project. So please keep that in mind, because it's really a key element of our mission. And I think the countries where we want to present the solutions to really deserve that it is something that they can carry on themselves and something that lasts. Otherwise, there's not really use in doing so. It's just like a snapshot in time and done. That's not what we are striving for. Also, is the solution scalable? Scalable to the extent that if you come up with something that say would work for 100 people and it's really a bright idea, can it work for an entire nation? Can it work for a region, for a district where you have, say, 100,000 people or 1 million people? So that is also a component that we have high up in our banner. If we think of something, can it be scaled to population level, to a broader target group? And then within the context of that local partnership, of that sustainability, we also would like, and we strive actually for the fact that we could bring one team to somewhere, someplace, depending on your ID, depending on the proposal, and help people locally in saying, understanding their data or understanding the solution in an attempt to educate, to establish that local partnership and that sustainability. Now that is a big stretch, and that's something we're not gonna judge tomorrow evening. The winner of that category will get the opportunity to pitch the idea to a broader panel of stakeholders, where then it's going to be evaluated whether it's appropriate to do that local implementation, yes or no. So first step for tomorrow is your ticket to that panel to check if you can move on to the next step. That was a slide that was in my slide deck previously, where I called, or we called for action, I'm sorry. We called for action, we called for data, we called for IDs, we called for your skills, talent. Today here we are. Today is November 23rd, and have a look around you. I think the call for IDs, talent, data has already been quite successful. Thank you very much for being here. Now we're moving into the next step, and that is getting to work and continuing to work on that data, on your proposal, and we'll see tomorrow evening what all of you have come up with. So thank you very much for that.
So thank you very much, Serge. I think what's important here is the that capacity building intention that is behind this whole hackathon. The idea is to create something that can be helped, can be used locally, not by us, but by the people there. And that local, the idea of having local people working on the solution that you are defining in the coming 30 hours is quite important. Not all the solutions that you work on have to have that in the back of the mind, but the global intention of this hackathon was that capacity building. Yeah. So keep that in mind, that whenever you present something, it's better to have something that is easy to understand and easy to implement than to go too deep into algorithms and mathematical things. Yeah, we're not here in it's not a competition here. It's a data for good competition that needs to be implemented in one of these countries soon. So the next presenter is Annelies. I'm always extremely proud when I present Annelies. Annelies was part of the data science bootcamp, the first data science bootcamp we organized 2 years ago. She was one of the students there who decided to do an additional 6 months of training in order to understand what data science was all about, to understand on first hand what technologies were used to be certified in R, in Python, and so on. And then in a second phase, to see up to 15 different business cases that are used daily by the business. So here is Annelies. She did the project. She managed the whole project of the dengue hack. So she also gained, on top of that, her data science experience, project management experience, in such a way that she was hired by Johnson & Johnson. Now she's on the other side of the equation, where she's driving the hackathon, but from the customer point of view. At least the word is yours. Whenever your mic is switched on, I don't know if it's switched on.
Does that work? Yeah? Okay. Yeah, you can go to the second slide immediately. I don't have very much to say. I'm going to keep it very short. Very ironically, they made me presenter of the data sources while I don't know anything about the data sources. So I'll keep it very short. And as already said earlier, we're going to have each of the teams that provided data sources, each of the people that provided data sources and have already worked on those data sources, some time to present the data sources in detail. So we'll start soon. The team of Blue Square, where are they? Stand up so that everybody knows who you are. Ah, they're in the box over there. Okay. So, yeah, so the team of Blue Square has focused on data for the Republic Democratic of Congo. They're looking into data mostly about health facilities, hospitals, etc. But they have also found some data specifically on HIV. So I think that data is going to be very interesting. Definitely suggest looking into that. So at 3 o'clock they will probably present. Maybe we're a little backed up on time, I'm not sure. But around that time they will present their data. After their presentation, if you still have questions, you can always find them in that booth over there, or if you see one of them, go and ask questions. They're here to help you. So after that, at 3:20, we have global data sets. They're mostly based on the Stanford HIV-DR drug resistance database, but there's also some other data sources in there. This is a data set that Jenny worked on. Stand up, Jenny, or wave your hand. So she's been working on that already for almost a year, has done a lot of work. She won't tell you what work exactly she's done, because obviously that's your task the following 2 days, day and a half. But she will explain the data sets and give you an impression of what they are about. So these data sets they look at the global scheme of things, so they don't go into the different regions of countries, but they look at countries as a whole, which can still be very interesting, of course. So after that, Serge has done a lot of work on 2 other countries, Tanzania and Kenya, and he will explain what his work has been on those, and will also explain which data he managed to gather on there. Yeah, you've seen Serge earlier, of course, so you already know his face. After that, Duke, over there, Duke, wave to everyone, will present his work on publications. So he has gathered a lot of publications regarding HIV and HIV drug resistance. And so there is a full gathering of publications there. He'll go into more detail on that, and that might be an opportunity to do some text mining, for example. So you can have a look in that. Then, and I haven't met Olmo myself. Olmo, there you are. Okay, nice to meet you. Olmo has gathered some data on the AIDS info and UNAIDS. So he will be explaining a little bit more about that as well, if you agree to that. Yeah, I'm putting him on the spotlight here. And then, very last minute, Ewan, where are you, Evan? Over there, has let me know that there is another data source that they found just half an hour ago, I think, called PEP dataset. So he might do a short explanation on that as well. And otherwise, you'll just find it in the data folders. Now, that's the data that we've managed to collect. If any of you has more data or other data, or if you find the best data source out there, go ahead and use it. There is no limitations. You can use whatever, as long as you can feed back to which data sources you have used, so that so that we don't know that you didn't just suck it out of your thumb, as we would say in Dutch. So yeah. So the people that I've mentioned now, feel free to go to them. They will have their presentations there, but throughout the next day and a half, you can always reach out to them whenever you need help on that. And I think, Philippe, that there are as well some other coaches as well. Should we present those so that everybody knows who's who?
The technical coaches will come in tomorrow.
Ah, yeah, okay. Yeah, okay. Perfect. So then that was my part of this talk. I think right now we'll have you guys present the pitches. So what do we expect from the pitches? Super short, just 1 minute. Just saying, if you already have an idea, come up, tell your idea, motivate people to work with you on that idea, and invite people who you need in your team, so that they can join your team. If you already have a fully developed team and you don't want anybody else in your team, that's also fine. But otherwise, you can welcome people.
Well,
yeah?
excellent. Thank you, Annelies. Thank you, Annelies. Switch off your mic. So we know we already have 7 or 8 teams in the room, yeah, and we are going to let those 7 or 8 people to present themselves very shortly. In their order of presentation will also be the number of their team, yeah, and to put the bar quite high, and I think I'm going to ask Olmo to start off with this pitch. It's a presentation without slides, Olmo. It's just to say what you're working on, that you are team number 1, and then allow people to think about the solutions. It gives you some depth on what can be done with the different data sets. Olmo was also the winner of our pitching contest that we organized for the job fair last week, so I promised him that he could start.
So I didn't know I was going to present, so I haven't prepared anything. Can you hear me? Yeah. So the idea I had was to work with in the framework of the World Health Organization. So they are, of course, they have studied a lot how all this HIV drug resistance problem, and they have identified a series of indicators which are linked to HIV drug resistance. One of them is, for example, as Serge mentioned, pharmacy stockouts. And so in this UNAIDS database that Annelies mentioned before, there is some data related to these indicators. There are also a few reports by the WHO data on these indicators. The WHO has asked countries to monitor these numbers, these indicators annually. So the data exists, but it's not made available. But you can still find it in some reports. And so the idea was to combine the data from Jenny's database, which contains some data for a number of countries on HIV drug resistance, and to see if we can find correlations, so quantitative correlations between these indicators and the HIV drug resistance that's contained in this database. So the idea is to transform this qualitative relationship that the WHO has suggested into a quantitative relation if we have enough data. So the very first step is to put all this data together, see if there is enough data, and see if any correlations can be found.
So you're team number 1, and you can put your name on the board there, and then collect your data with our friend Evan. So next presenter is Varun. He has a challenge in keeping 1 minute.
Yeah.
It tends off. So
Get sidetracked.
Who will time him? Because he has a lot of details to share with us.
Okay, I will try to be very quick now. So my idea is to go more statistical approach, because when we are dealing with epidemiological way of finding a solution, mostly we go in the statistical approach. That's been for ages, and all these medical. So my data set, which I'm working on, is at this moment is for we were provided by Jenny. So it's a Stanford drug resistance database. So at the moment, I have collected, I have scraped through the website as well as through those research papers. So for my team, I would really like to have somebody who has knowledge on working on shiny dashboards, because I would really like to have some make a good presentation on that. And also those who have a good mapping skill, like in terms of visualization. So whoever is a data viz here would be very nice to have on my team. And in terms of, yeah, we can talk about this approach, and yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Excellent. Switch it off. So our next presenter is Irene.
Hi.
There she
Okay,
goes.
Irene. Yeah. Irene Oak. Okay. Hello. This is Keone. Hello. So Keone wants to know whom of you had coffee today. Oh, I have to go to the green screen?
Yeah.
So whom of you drank coffee today? Okay, 10. And whom of you took the train to come to Digitizer? Fine, thank you very much. I want to show that this method of collecting data is an artifice that I want to use for my project. Because we're now in year 2018, the way to do it is going to be through a chatbot, but actually using these artifices to communicate and create an in-between the communication has been one of the tools that humans have used since millennia to communicate. So one of the big problems that we're having is how are we going to collect the data, and also how precise this collection will occur. So that's the reason why I have created the Keone bot, and I'm going to work together with a team of a psychologist, a chatbot developer, and as well we have partnered today for the hackathon with the startup Altana. Thank you very much for your attention, and I will try to pass by your teams tomorrow when you're a bit more evolved and ask you what sort of information are you missing that could be very important for your project. Because it's about collection, it's about working together, and this is just one of the pieces that we need to make the HIV resistance a reality, and the knowledge. Thanks.
So this is Ludo. No. I love to introduce Ludo. I've introduced him in many ways. Today I'm introducing
in too many ways.
Ludo
Yeah.
as a wild card. He's the wild card.
Am I? Hi, everybody. The last few weeks I've been working on visualization using JavaScript and D3.js. I'm a little bit stuck there, so if there are some specialists, they would be welcome to join me. But now that I know there is a wildcard category, I'd like to propose a solution based on blockchain system. There are two things that few people understand, so but we will not use any data. So if you want to join and have open discussion about that, it would be nice to meet you.
So our next presenter would take place behind the digitizer counter.
Okay.
He's an extreme sport trainer, but is also one of our data science boot campers.
Okay, thank you, sir. Yeah, Philip. Okay, hello. My name is Kevin. I'm pretty excited about this. This is new to me, so great. I hope to meet more people. As a first little idea, I would like to propose maybe to Evan is to make some kind of little website with quiz where we may take pictures of everyone and put their name in there so that everyone can memorize or learn or look up some kind of a Facebook that is closed so that we can name each other because not everybody knows each other. Now, about the project, I had the idea of trying to find a way to visualize the amount of drugs that is available over, let's say, Kenya in a heat map kind of schema, and then another layer where we differentiate with what's the need of the drugs, and then we would see some kind of a difference between that, and then we could further advance on investigating through weather, other sicknesses over there to figure out or inference analysis more about what is causing that area to occur. This is pretty large idea, and maybe we should break that down in more smaller, more descriptive analysis. And I hope you can help me. I'm in group 4 apparently, and okay, I'll hope to meet you. Good luck, everyone. Okay. Yep.
And keep the microphone on your chin.
Hi. Hi, I'm Joachim. I want to pitch my project. It's not really data science, but it has to do with natural language processing. So what I will try to do is fight drug resistance from the policy level. World Health Organization has ART, antiretroviral therapy guidelines, and they publish them, and they also have a database for countries to implement these guidelines. But if you look at the most recent update, it dates back from I think 2011. So what I will be trying to do is to come up with a version control system for ART guidelines so that the implementation in the legal process can be monitored closely, and I will be using natural language processing techniques. If you want to know more about that, feel free to join. Also looking for people who are able to visualize things in a nice way, so Angular, and also people with all sorts of coding skills. Thank you.
Yes, because we have decided to have a different project. And for us, what we have seen is that it's quite complicated to have information. And it's complicated to have information because there is too much information. And if we have to read all the documents that exist, then we'd spend way too much time, and maybe we will not find exactly the document which is important for us. So we have created an NLP algorithm, an NLP model, which extracts the main topics that we can find in the different documents. And based on that, we have created a recommendation system that will automatically recommend to the different people with different profiles, with different interests, the document that they should be reading next. Thank you.
So the next presenter already won a hackathon 2 years ago when we did the dengue hack. So he will present, probably his way of presenting is say, we're doing something small and not very complicated, and then you will see it will be very elaborate, and then he will win probably the hackathon. Let me introduce you to Jellert.
Hi. Yes, okay, so I'm Jellert from Explodata. We're participating with Explodata, and we're taking on 2 challenges, or trying to. The first one is about text mining. It's also the workshop that we gave on the DI Summit, where we're going to try to text mine PDF files and give back all tables in there, all graphs, and some topics as well. And the second challenge that we're taking on is some clustering on Tanzania. Hopefully we won't go to jail, but we're going to do some clustering on the regions of Tanzania to find out the drivers for HIV.
Excellent. Thank you very much. So for the moment, it's the last presenter is Evan. He's also the coach of the data scientists. He's been teaching them on pedagogic approach and how to do a project and the step-by-step approach of successfully delivering a project. Here is Evan Cole with his project that he will present in front of the green screen.
So the project I'm looking at is, can we find anything within years? Data is generally collected year by year, which is helpful, but what might be interesting to see is if there's some sort of periodic cycle, a seasonal cycle within the year that pertains to the HIV resistance. There's already evidence that HIV transmission and the transition from HIV to AIDS has a seasonal aspect to it. So certain times of year in certain areas, that's more likely to happen. We also know that there are strong early warning indicators. Many of those are not at all related to HIV, which is the data that we have trouble collecting. So the project I would like to start up is to see if we can use maybe weather or logistical data or any other socio-demographic data that's available at a higher grain. We can see if there's times of year where the early warning indicators coincide. Then can we take that and project it into the future? So that's a project that could be done for each country, assuming that the data we're able to collect and build a model off of is data reliably collected by something other than a government or local clinics. I will not be able to put too much time into the project, so I'm looking to someone who wants to head it up, as well as people who want to do all of the work. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you very much. So we have one more, and we can have as many as you want. So if you also have an idea, it does not have to be already finalized, but if you have a direction in which you would like to go, I would like to invite you up here so that you can pitch it in 1 minute. So here is our next presenter, who is wearing his microphone in a very Dutch way.
How does it work? I don't know. Like this?
Like that, like Madonna.
Like Madonna. Who's Madonna?
Stay behind the counter there. You only want to see your upper body.
Okay, good day. Robert is the name. I might be in category 4. I would like to combine things. We are talking about HIV and drug resistance. So I'd like to tackle how can we follow up those that apparently do not know how to take it up. And I combine it with an ongoing project that I have, which is called Medic ID. And I need all kinds of people, visualization, and other kinds of scientists. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you, Robert. So that's it for first quick initial round. Unless there is somebody else who wants to use this opportunity to gather people around this project. 1 time, 2 times, 3 times. Okay, let's have a 5-minute break. We have organized everything so that you can feel comfortable here. You have an open bar, and you can have as much non-alcoholic drinks as you want. The idea is only to focus on non-alcoholic drinks with sugar, which is a bad thing, but there are some drinks with sugar as well. And there's also fruit available for you. Whatever you need, come to me. If you need your data set and things like that, go to Evan. He'll be standing behind the counter as the reception. And let's meet here at 3 again to see the next presentation. Yes, Anna? The presentations have been streamed online and are available on our Facebook page, so you can look at the presentations again. And the content of the presentation, the PowerPoints, I will also make them available for you, okay? And the answer is behind the counter at the reception. Yeah.
I always do this. Philippe, can I have one last word? Yeah, I just want to say, so we'll start at 3 with the presentations on the data sources. That means that now you have half an hour not only to take a break, but also to mingle, to talk to each other, to come up with new ideas. And the purpose is really that you, as soon as possible, within the next half an hour actually, find a team, a group of people you want to work with, decide on a topic you want to work with, and go for it. So yeah, go ahead, talk to each other, mingle, and yeah, take a break.